Welcome to Donna and Friends. You know, last year we sat down with some Cushing alumni and we want to share their stories with you right now. Let's check it out.
Frida Chadwick and myself and Karen Hilliard. She was Karen Wright Hilliard. And it was so much. We were just all like sisters. Imogene Spencer, Clenna, all of us were just like sisters. In fact, we were in the SCs and BBBs, and we had Hell Week, and we could tell each other criticisms, and none of us would, you know, be offended because it would improve ourselves. And we were in Tigerettes, cheerleader. Oh, it was just a closeness of women.
Well, I was in the band also, and I guess the favorite band memory would be our trip to the Apple Blossom Festival in Colorado. And we really had a wonderful time there. Lots of times when I was sitting in class, my husband, Roy Myers, would drive by in his souped-up Dodge and rack off his muffler so that all the school could hear, and I would all but get under my desk because everybody knew who it was. And I liked the old high school. I was a student helper for Mr. Bryson, and it seems that Roy was in woodwork on the same floor, on the bottom floor, at the same time, but we never did meet until the summer of '58. Well, the one thing I'll never forget, Roy was kind of a show-off, and he would go down to the turnaround right in front of, about a block from the old railroad station. And he'd speed around the U-turn. Well, this one time he was showing off, and he sped around the U-turn, and his tire hung in a hole, and he went on around and was parallel to a police car. And the policeman walked up and said, "Okay, Roy, let's go up to the station." And that was extremely funny because they even knew him by his first name. They didn't know that later on he was going to be a police captain. Well, I still miss the old high school torn down. That was a really sad thing when it went down. But with progress, they take things away and put things in, you know, and it seems different to me. And then when they went to tear down the swimming pool, they left the front up, and that to me is a real cherished memory, you know, because it was, at that time, it was a very special pool and one of few in the country.
Yes, yes.
And so I think progress, I don't like change. I tend to stop people when they're about 12 years old, and if they grow up, I wonder, well, look at that, you know. But things are changing all the time, and Broadway is not the drag. And you tell kids today about going down the drag, and they don't hardly know what you're talking about. In fact, my grandchildren ask me questions, and they don't know what my answer is. Where did you get that, or the terms that I use?
Well, I was in the band, and the band gives you so many experiences. We did a joint with Royal Colorado, and we actually, the whole band went to Colorado and stayed in homes of the band members up there, and then those band members came down here to Cushing and stayed in our home, and they did a concert for our town while they were here, and we did a concert for their town while we were there. And that was way before field trips and things like that. I thought that was really special. Now, I wanted to be in the band because I wanted to be a majorette. And I really didn't practice my instrument very well. I was never the first, but I was always good enough to get to be in the band and a twirler. But we had halftime at the football games. The band would play. Of course, the twirlers got to be out front, and we had these little short skirts. Well, one time, my little short skirt, the zipper broke while we were performing, and I just stepped out of it, left it there, and kept right on going. So that's probably one of my funny experiences, but the band was sure a big part of it too.
Oh, to me it was a blessing that I grew up then, because there wasn't all of this other, it's not anything like it was in the 50s. Of course, rock and roll, bebop-a-loola, Elvis Presley, we'd sit Monday nights, and when he had a special, all of us would be glued. Lillian Perrick would have us down there to her house, and he was a pastor. So, you know, we kind of were guarded. We went to the First Baptist Church. Frida Chadwick and Mrs. Chadwick, Eunice, would take us to church on Sunday morning, Sunday school, Sunday night, church on Wednesday, and then we would just start all over the week. And I couldn't go to church if I wanted to go to the movies, of course, Paramount, you know, Cowboys and all that, but we had to be sure and be in church Sunday morning. But Duncan Theater, we could go to the balcony, and that was risque. You know, it was something that we didn't, I don't think any of us was risque. We didn't know what that was. I know you think we were very backward, but we weren't. We had Mrs. Woodward, or Miss Woodward, as our home ec teacher, and she taught us how to pivot on our stand. She taught us how to be a lady, take off our gloves and hold them, and to wear what type of shoe. And some of our people were just, Verna King, I remember her, she developed into a beautiful woman, a beautiful personality. They all had personalities back then. And I'd like to give honor to all of the class girls, because it was a time where a girl would set the standards. And I liked that.
Oh, when we moved here, I don't even remember the date of the year, but when we moved to Cushing, that was our first time to work for C.R.N.C. Company. And when we come out on the outside of town, we would have a trailer and a U-Haul truck thing and we lost the back door that fell off that when we hit that little bump when he came on this side. And I said, it's just up and down in that town. I don't want to go there. That wasn't a good memory, was it?
That wasn't a good memory, but
That's good, though. I think that's a great...
Yeah, I just thought that was a terrible town to be moving. You have to spill everything you own out of a truck or in the bar.
It was the neatest place to live. You didn't have to lock your doors. You knew everybody, and everybody knew us. We couldn't do a thing without somebody calling Mother and telling them where we were at and what we were doing. And Dad was a pastor, and one time we were double dating, and we switched guys. And before we got home, somebody called Mother and told her that we had switched boyfriends at the movie. You know, it was just home. It was just a neatest place to live. And Dad was so active in town, and Mom mothered everybody. And it was before jails, you know. We had juvenile delinquents sleeping in our living room all night long. And I'd wake up and figure out how many breakfasts I had to cook, and
We either counseled them or married them. We
Yeah.
had so many weddings in
At our
our
house.
house. And he also married people in the store, the Anthony
and
store.
at the store.
Really? So
in
right
the-
here where we sit today,
Uh-huh.
that's the Alumni Hall, but prior to that being C.R. Anthony store, marriages
Marriages.
took place.
in the shoe department
And the bra
and in the
department.
bra department, the bra salesman wanted to get married at Cushing Anthony store, and we made an arch and we hung panties and girdles and bras that he sold to my dad. Dad would buy them and sell them in the store. We hung them all around, and we made an arch, and he and his wife got married underneath that arch. Dad married him right here in the store.
Hey, don't you go anywhere. There's more Cushing alumni stories coming up right after this.
You're watching RDMG TV.